What's up, Orange Nation? My name is Bryson, and I'm the fitness regional for the beautiful state of Iowa, which is where we're coming at you right here, right now, at our West Des Moines location. And today in this video, I'll be mentioning and going over everything with endurance days. We'll be talking about ways to approach that, the differences that we see with those other templates, and we will break down each piece of equipment here and there. Starting with the treadmill, we'll move to the rower and take it to the floor. On our typical endurance days, things that we do expect, though, is longer blocks on the treadmill, longer efforts as well. On the rower, those mid to longer range rows. And definitely on the floor, not looking to chase the number on the dumbbells if we are using weights. Again, it's more about toning muscle, sculpting muscle, and we'll go over that in the floor section certainly, but not the day to bring those heavy weights. So with that, we'll be starting on the treadmill. I'm gonna take it right on over there, so let's head on over. Now, up on the treadmill, as we mentioned with endurance days, we're going to expect longer blocks and longer efforts on your traditional endurance day, that is. So a couple things to make note of that is we want to see gentle waves in the heart rate. This is not the day to come firing out the gate, foot on the gas, and spike our heart rates up. We can save that for a different style of template. Typically, we see those gentle waves in heart rate, so either creeping up slowly or creeping it down back slowly during those base recoveries. So with longer blocks, longer efforts, we shouldn't need as high of speeds as high of inclines, and that's definitely not the style of template that you'll see those on. But also too, as we always talk about the heart rate monitors, they are a tool. They're there to help us and guide us. They're not the end all be all. And certainly on endurance days, as most days we want to go off feeling as well, definitely on endurance days. If it's a longer block, we expect those heart rates to climb and not necessarily drop all the way back down to green, although sometimes that can be the goal in base. It's more about staying in control from start to finish. And certainly on endurance days, we talk about it all the time, base pace. That's our foundation. We build upon that. That is something that's going to be primarily our main goal, is maintaining your base start to finish. Something's got to give on these days. Pull back on that push, as push really is a feeling uncomfortable and in control. And again, if you start to feel that all-out effort, scaling back to make sure. So halfway check-ins are huge for these, especially on longer pushes. Always asking the question, can you maintain that push, but also maintain the base after? And again, if something's got to give, we're going to give on the push. So a lot of different things, as I talked about, feeling can affect the heart rate, whether that's lack of sleep, stress outside of the studio. So again, really checking in with yourself during these longer blocks, making sure you are feeling what you're seeing before you decide to pull it back or not. And with all-out efforts, typically we don't see as many of those on endurance days. Most of the time they will be a minute, some of those runs for distance or tread for distance getting a little longer also. But definitely the key word there with all-out effort is effort. Do not compare to any other day, certainly not a power template. You give the best effort you can, and we expect the speeds to be down a little bit because of the style of the templates. So again, endurance on the tread really is going to test you just as much mentally as it will physically, but you're going to have the opportunity to build in both. So now we'll be moving on over to the rower, which I'll talk about endurance on the rower. All right, so over on the rower now, let's talk about how we want to handle endurance days on the rower. As we mentioned before, typically we're going to see some mid to longer range rows. So certainly pacing ourselves on the rower, just like we would on the tread. Again, gentle waves in the heart rate, and definitely we talk about it all the time, longer rows, right? It's that firecracker versus a freight train. We don't want to be the firecracker, right? We don't want to come out with our biggest bang right at the start, our most aggressive pace, just to see that kind of fizzle out. We want to be more of that freight train, and that's where we start off slow and strong, focusing on our form, settling into our pace, and we're picking up steam along the way. So typically either maintaining that steam or giving it a little bit more at the very end of the rows. So with that, again, 3x3 is going to be important no matter what style of day it is, and that's again our timing. 1 count back, 2 counts forward. It's gonna be our order of muscles. Again, legs, core, arms, core, legs, and of course the distribution of power. As we all know, 60% of that power is gonna come in the legs. So all those are important on any single day, but really, as we see longer rows, typically we'll start to have our form slip a little bit. And that's natural because we're tired, we're fatigued. What happens is we start to round our shoulders, we start to slouch, we stick that lower back out, putting all the pressure on our spine. So with form, again, important on any other day, you really want to be careful as we grab that handle. Again, chest is tall, shoulders are back and relaxed away from those ears. And we're making sure to breathe. So that big breath out as we drive back, and that big breath in as we slowly come forward. So breath work, very important. And again, lift that lower back out of the hips. When we start to feel pressure in our lower back, we got to engage that core a little bit more. And that's where we talk about that 10 to 2 lean, chest staying tall throughout. Now let's talk about some of the intensities you're going to see, or some of the metrics you'll see on the actual rower. On endurance days, we do have those longer rows, sometimes 500, 800, sometimes longer. So majority of the time, we're gonna see it set to a 500 meter split time, which is great. That's the pace that you're on per 500 meters. Our watts will use those as well, but those tend to jump up and down a little bit more. We find more consistency in our split time, which is the exact pace that you're on. So more pressure on the foot plates, bringing that split time down, just like if we were bringing it a little bit faster or higher on that incline, or higher on that speed, exactly, bringing the pace down on the tread. So certainly making sure to breathe, focusing on form throughout, and again, settling in. Start with about 5 to 10 strong strokes, find your pace, stick with it. It's always easier to add more at the end than to take it off and watch our pace go down when we come out a little too aggressive. So that will be the rower for endurance, and we're gonna head on over to the floor. Follow me. And last but certainly not least, as we can see a lot of change when we do the right things on the floor, is talking about endurance on the floor. Why is it important? Endurance days are great for toning muscle, which is typically one of the goals that we see when you first join with us. Toning muscle and more definition in those muscles. I think everybody wants a little more defined muscles, and endurance days are a great opportunity to do it. Now, what we most of the time will see is we're gonna see higher rep counts, which you typically see 12, potentially more, or utilizing the same muscle group for multiple exercises in a row. So again, toning and definition of the muscles certainly is a goal that we can have there if we approach it the correct way. So just because there's more reps does not mean we're going any faster than any other day when there's lower reps at 4 to 6, for instance. So we want to make sure we go those same rep speed, but this is not a day to really hit those high weights. Just like on the treadmill on an endurance day, it's not the day to hit high speeds, high inclines. We shouldn't need as heavy of weight when we're using dumbbells. So really, as I mentioned earlier, chase the feeling in the muscles. Tough, challenging by the last few reps, difficult to complete the reps. Don't chase the number on the dumbbells. It's also a good day to have lighter dumbbells ready to go. For instance, 12 reps bicep curl. You start with a weight, can only complete 8 with good form. Instead of rushing or stopping altogether, drop it down. Go to lighter weights, which is a great opportunity to use those even when the drop set is not specifically on the screens. So certainly endurance days from here. For instance, on the TRX, that could be stepping a little further away from the wall. On those body weight, a great day to use options. That way we can get more work in without rushing, with limited rest. As again, typically we talk about endurance days, if you're moving, you're improving on the floor, and lighter weights options are a great way to keep getting that volume and get the ultimate goal, and that's defined muscles, toned muscles, but it's about being smart, as we talk a lot, working smarter, not necessarily harder and going off feeling. So great opportunities on the floor, continue to approach them the right way, and as always, go at your own pace. We talked about limiting rest, but don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Focus on you, how your muscles feel, and always, always talk to your coaches. If something doesn't feel right, or again, you're just not understanding what the focus is for that day, we're here for you. Wave us down during class, talk to us before or after class. We're always here for you every step of the way to get you closer to your goals. So that will cover endurance. Thank you for joining us here in the beautiful state of Iowa, and we look forward to talking to you more. Take care.